Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Today I'm going to be doing some pre-show work to my larch forest, pruning the trees up, getting it ready for the fall shows which are coming up in 1 month. Here is a look at the larch forest. So it's grown really well this summer. This is the second or third flush of growth on most of the branches. And the landscape is still looking quite good. It was hard to keep the moss green all this summer. It was a hot summer. These trees used a lot of water. I had to water this forest like 3 times a day for the entire summer. It just dries out if you don't. So there'll be lots of pruning coming on the trees. And this late in the year, it's September now, we're getting towards fall, the buds have set on the branches. When these shoots are young, when they're just emerging, the buds aren't set yet, so you can basically pinch them off anywhere and then it'll develop buds. But this late in the year, you've got to look for visible buds on the branches and prune back to those using directional pruning. So there's a lot of work to go on this forest. I'll be busy pruning up all these trees, probably all of today and maybe even tomorrow. So yeah, I don't think the video will be that long, but the time it takes to do it, it'll take a long time. Yeah. Down below the video in the description, there's a link to a playlist for this forest, and it shows all the work I've done to this forest over the last 12 years. And there's many videos showing detailed pruning of the forest. So I'm not going to focus on all the detailed pruning today. This video will be more like a before, how it is now, and then an after I finish the pruning. So here I go. All right. Wow, there's lots of growth up in the apex here. So here's a good bud, so I'll move back to that. I have multiple leaders in the apex here and I want to keep it simple. So I'm going to remove these excess ones so the top of my tree stays slim so it doesn't bulk up and get too thick. So I'll just keep the one leader on the tree. These can be pruned back quite a bit here. So I'm always looking for buds and using directional pruning. And usually it's a bud that's facing downwards that I prune to keep the branches a little more horizontal. In the apex here, the branches should go upright, and then as you go down the tree they go horizontal and the bottom branches cascade. That's how I would like the branches to look. And all the old needles, there's a lot of long needles here that are from the first flush of growth. You can see how long they are compared to the newer needles. They're about, I don't know, 4 or 5 times as long. They will get plucked out. So I'm removing all the needles from the first flush of growth. So the trees should look quite a bit more miniature when I finish this operation. And there's a cluster of branches at the tip here, so I will want to thin that out. So I'm going to take this branch off entirely, keeping the ones that are fanning out a bit. And anywhere where there's multiple branches, ideally you want your branches dividing from 1 to 2. And if you can't see the branch clearly, you just have to thin it. You can do some needle plucking to thin it out so you can see the branch structure. All the needles on the bottom of the branches are coming off. And if you can't get in here, you can use the tweezers to come in and pull the needles you can't reach with your fingers in between the branches, like that. Kitty's come into the greenhouse. Again, he knows he's not allowed in here. Out you go, kitty. Come on. You're not allowed in here. Out you go. Out. I guess I left the door open, did I? Here's a look at the apex here. So that's kind of the after, and then here's another typical apex down here, the before, with all the long shoots and long needles. Can all be plucked out. Yeah, so that's my approach. I've done the apex of one tree, and I have a lot of branches to go. But I enjoy this work. It's really nice seeing, as you work on the tree, it gets better and better looking. It goes from like really bushy to looking quite refined. So I'll work away, working on the larch forest. It's a beautiful day today, very blustery out. And you'll see what it looks like. Maybe I'll show you what the forest looks like when I've pruned up the first tree. And then we'll come back and check in on the progress every now and then. And eventually you'll see the end result. I have got the first tree pruned up and needle thinned. So there's a look at it. You can see the branch structure now. All the branches are getting light. It's kind of thinned. And it takes about an hour to do each tree. So I've only done one. So I've got some work ahead of me. And there's a look at one that's not pruned and needle thinned. Yeah, lots of work in these apex up here. Yeah, so quite a different look for the tree. There'll be a lot of space to look through the forest once it's all finished. Yeah, and I might get some new growth this year. There's lots of buds on the branches that are quite swollen. So if we get a good kind of warm spell, there might be some more growth come out before the end of the year. The cat has given up trying to get into the glass greenhouse. So here he is in the poly house now. So I cleared him a spot there. I guess that's okay. He did knock some trees over. Silly cat, eh? You're a silly cat. Here is a look at the larch forest. It's almost sunset now. I didn't get much more time to work on the forest today, but tomorrow will be another day. Yeah, I've kind of been working on sort of all the trees at once. You know, this tree, you have to prune the branches so it's not touching the tree behind it, and yeah, they're all kind of integrated together. So I've been working on the apex of this tree. I've got to prune all these other long shoots back. Yeah, there's lots of work. Like I said, each tree takes at least an hour, probably more like an hour and a half. And I did some work on the new trees at the side. They're a bit of a problem. They're not as ramified and delicate as the older trees. The branches are kind of coarse and the needles are bigger, but they will eventually catch up with the other trees and kind of style and look. Yeah, so that's it at the end of the day. Day one of pruning up the larch forest. It is day two now of working on my larch forest. I couldn't start too early in the morning because I had the greenhouse filled with my tropical trees. I had to wait till it warmed up a bit before I moved them out of the greenhouse so I can work on this tree. So here I go. It looks like a nice sunny day today. I'll get at it, and I hopefully will finish the forest today. Okay, there's buds there. I think we're gonna go fairly short here. It's gonna have to come right off. I've got a really strong vertical shoot here I'm going to take right off and replace it with a weaker apex. Taking that whole shoot off there. And some of these trees at the back I'll have to turn the forest around to work on them. Okay. I finished the work around the front of the forest and the left-hand side. So now I'm going around the back and the right-hand side and that'll finish the forest off. So hopefully I'll get it done today. Around the back here, I added 2 more trees, just small ones, this one and this one, and they didn't look like they were doing very well at first. The needles started going yellow, and I thought, oh my goodness, I'm not sure they're going to survive, but they kind of stabilized and then recovered and began growing nicely. So I think it just took a while for the roots to get established. So both these kind of background trees, they're very small trees, but you know, someday they'll kind of grow up into this space and provide some depth to the forest. These are about as far back in the pot as you can get. Yeah, so they're just to provide depth in the forest, and I'll have to make sure that they have their own spot of sunlight to grow up in. This one is kind of growing underneath this other tree, so I might have to prune away some branches so it's some room to grow up right. I was out watering my trees, and I noticed my red maple has the most brilliant red color on it. So let me show you the color of the leaves. Yeah, here it is here. It's just amazing, the red. Oh, so beautiful. Not a great looking tree, but spectacular fall colors on it. My Amur maple also has some beautiful red colors on it over there. Yeah, the fall colors are definitely coming. Many of these branches at the back are so dense that you can't see the branch structure, so I just have to come in and kind of start pulling needles, some of the longer ones, and just thinning it out, just so I can see what's going on. It's so dense, some of these branches. They're just, you know, a mass of needles, which is good. I mean, they've grown really well, but it sure makes it hard to sort the structure out when there's so many needles you can't see what's going on. So I just pull, you know, pinch, you know, finger full of needles at a time, kind of clean the structure out. So now you can see that branch, you can see the structure of it. Prune it up and do further needle plucking. Yeah, very, very dense at the back here. The sun is setting on another day. I'm making good progress on the forest. So here's the back of the forest now, and you can see I've opened up all the branches. It was just one big massive green foliage at first. So I've got my little trees at the back. I made sure they had room to grow. I pruned back the branches around them. This one could maybe use a little more pruning up above it, but it's getting light there. Yeah, and I'm starting to get the separation in the branches, a lot of needle thinning, just, you know, pulling out bundles of needles from the bottom and just thinning it all. Yeah, it takes a long time. There's so many trees in this forest, and they all need a lot of needle plucking and a lot of pruning. So I'm just going to keep at it. The forest is looking okay. I wouldn't say it's at its maximum. So after I'm done all this pruning and thinning, I'm going to turn it around, have a look at it. And if it's not looking its best, it could maybe go in a later show. I think it'll be okay for the Kitchener Waterloo Bonsai Society show, but I might save it to go in the Toronto show later on when these new trees have matured a little and when I've, you know, really prepared the branch structure for the entire summer towards a fall show. Yeah, so that's my thoughts on it. But so I'll just keep working away until it gets so dark I can't really see what I'm doing. But I can, yeah, I have a few, probably another half hour out here before it gets too dark tonight, where I'll just be plucking all the bottom needles off, thinning it, pruning all these growing tips back. Yeah, but it's coming along well. It's made a lot of progress in the last few days. Well, that is it for another day. I made good progress on the back. You can see a lot of branch separation now. A lot of the long needles and the ones pointing down are pruned off. So I think I've got about another half an hour to an hour on the back here. Then I've got to do this side, and then I can rotate it back to the front and kind of evaluate the forest and see how it's doing and if I'll put it in a show this fall or not. It is the next day now. I'm making good progress on the larch forest. I just need to go around this side. Then I can turn it around and have a look from the front. Okay, I think I'm getting pretty close to finishing the work around the back. There'll be more pruning coming in spring once I see what back buds have developed. And when the branches are naked with no needles, I can do a really detailed pruning of the branches. But I think it's pretty good for now. I think I can rotate it around, finish off this side of the forest, and then that will be about it. And then I'll have a look at it. Just see how it's looking. So now I can get at this side, so I can just clean out these needles. I've got the trees on the right-hand side of the forest all cleaned up and pruned up. So now I'll rotate the tree around to the front and have a look at the planting and see how it's looking. So I need to come around here, put my block back in place, and I'll lift the planting up and put it down there. I missed a few needles here. Okay, let's have a look at it now. I'm standing back having a look at the planting. So this tree, you can see there's a lot of trunk and branches showing. It doesn't have foliage in this area, which has always been a fault of that front tree. It's just, yeah, whatever branches I had kind of coming out front died off. And it's getting very old, and you know, you won't get back budding on some of these branches. It's just a matter of trying to keep them compact and work them the best you can. The tree behind that is very full looking. The one on this side is maybe somewhere in between. So I did a lot of work on the front of the forest and the back, the sides, but I think I need to do some more work on the interior here. I can see there's a lot of needles that can be thin still. So I'll keep working away on it, trying to kind of balance the foliage density on all the trees so one doesn't look fuller than the others so much. I think that front one will always look less full than the rest, but I just want to balance them the best I can. It was hard to see in here at first. It was so full and dense. I have completed the work on the larch forest. It's looking quite nice, I think. The trees look fairly balanced. I think the composition looks good. Happy with it. It will need a watering soon. So here's what I took off the trees. There's a huge pile of needles and foliage. Yeah, I took a lot off. It's much thinner, the trees now. You can see some of the branch structure. Yeah, I think it's looking quite good. I still have like a month before the show, so I will keep working on it if I see any needles I missed or anything. And I'm not sure if it'll get its fall colors for the show. They might be all yellow next time you see it, the forest, but I'm not sure. Or if we have a warm month, the trees could continue growing. Yeah, it all depends on the weather, really. So that's a look at the larch forest. Some pre-show prep, kind of 1 month in advance. I'll give the forest a good watering, and then it can go back out on the benches in the full sun. and we'll see how it looks closer to showtime. So here I go with the water. And I'll have to clean up all the needles on the forest floor before the show. Give it a good watering. So on sunny days like this larch forest needs at least 2 waterings. And if I want to keep the moss nice and green, it's probably more like 3 waterings per day. Just to keep this moss kind of moist and stop the surface drying out. So yeah, it uses quite a bit of water, this larch forest. Now that the needles are reduced, I probably won't use quite as much, but they're still thirsty trees. They like lots of moisture. Okay, I think the forest is ready to go back outside on the bench. It's fairly easy to lift this forest. It's heavy, but not too bad. Make sure I have a good grip on the pot, and here I go. And be very careful. Just like that. So here's the larch forest now. This is where I keep it. So it gets, sun shining on the front of the forest. Yeah, it looks nice to see it all pruned up. All this pre-show work on my larch forest took 3 good afternoons of work, pruning up the trees, needle thinning, but it's all done now. So I think the forest will either get its fall colors if we get a cool September, or if we get a really nice warm September, I might get another flush of growth on the branches of the trees. So I'll give you updates before showtime. And that's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.